Well, thank you for joining our annual meeting. I'm Todd Means, Market President for Midwest One Bank and current Board Chair for the Iowa City Area Development Group. And we really appreciate you being here tonight. I was chuckling with Kate a couple days ago as we were talking about this evening. I've been the chair for 14 months now, and we still have not had an in-person board meeting. So it's exciting to see all of you in person this evening. A couple weeks ago, we were actually in this very space and starting the process and the journey of thinking about what our future is going to look like and what our community needs are going to be as we approach a long ways out, Vision 2030. Some of you guys may have been part of that discussion. Some of you may have read about it in the Cedar Rapids Gazette, and I know Kate will probably have some more comments about it in her presentation later, but it's exciting times. There's a lot of really cool things happening here. And when you think about business development and you think about designing our future, it takes a really strong team. And so I'd like to recognize Kate and our ICAD team. If you guys would all stand up real quick, I just want to recognize you and thank you for your work and your accomplishments for this current year. And I'd like to thank our investors, especially for the work you're doing to help keep our communities thriving and moving forward and your investment in our community. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize our board of directors. If you're a board of director, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. I especially would like to recognize the executive committee for your support and feedback and guidance for Kate and I as we're new to these roles and trying to kind of solve the questions and things that pop up across the years. So thank you for that. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Charlie Funk. Charlie is current vice chair for ICR and past board chair for the Iowa City Area Development Group. Charlie?
We have to set the mic at different heights, don't we? Well, it's my pleasure to welcome you as well tonight, and I'll hold this far enough away so that we don't get background noise. And I want to say thank you to Todd for your leadership of ICAD. It's been terrific as we've observed it, and also to Kate for what you've done. And the ICR, you know, is our regional effort, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, and I've had the pleasure for the last 4 years or so of being the vice chair, and I think, I don't know how we're going to do this. We turn it down a little bit, it'll be fine. But I think one of the things I've observed, and I've been doing this, been involved with ICAD for about 20 years now, is I think as we look at the ICR, the Iowa City Cedar Rapids corridor, I think the cooperation today is the best it's ever been. And we had a rough time, 16, 18 years ago, and I credit Kate and her counterpart, Doug Newman, in Cedar Rapids for that. And the communication, I think, between our respective entities is very good. The Metro Alliance in Cedar Rapids and ICAD in Johnson County. One of the things that sometimes we don't take the time to appreciate is when something good happens in Cedar Rapids, it benefits us in Iowa City and Coralville and North Liberty. And when something good here in Johnson County happens, the Cedar Rapidians also benefit. And so, when we think about attracting a strong labor force to our area, we all know it's important to attract folks who move to our area. I think the more we can cooperate regionally, the better opportunity we have. And that also goes for recruiting new businesses as well. All we have to do is look about 2 hours to the west and look at the cooperation between Des Moines, Ankeny, and Ames. It's significant, and we need to continue to move down the path toward more regional cooperation here. So Kate, thank you. It's been a pleasure to be part of the board meetings when you and Doug communicate so much. And we've stepped on each other's toes a few times over the last couple of years, but the good news is when we step on each other's toes, we get the issues on the table, we resolve them, and we move forward, and we're stronger for that. I don't think she's here tonight, But I do want to give a shout out to our chair for the last 4 years or so, Lydia Brown from Cedar Rapids. She's done a great job of leading this effort, and truly her heart and soul has been in this regional effort. So very, very good, and I would be remiss if I did not recognize her. So really, my only command tonight from Kate Moreland, and she said, don't screw it up, is to say, please enjoy this video highlighting ICAD's work. Thank you.
Designing our future is really the opportunity that's before us. In the past 18 months, there's been so much out of our control. But at this point, we really need to look ahead collectively and create a shared future where everyone can thrive.
If there's ever been a chance to demonstrate resiliency, it's been in the last 18 months with the pandemic and what that's brought for supply, for people.
Procter & Gamble's plant in Iowa City is looking to add dozens of new employees to its workforce.
ICAD's been a huge partner for Procter & Gamble through the communication of our change in direction for the beauty care site. You know, we had originally planned to move production to a different location. And then last April made the decision that we would be keeping beauty care production here and actually investing in new product capability.
Our workforce has grown by over 20% in the last year and a half, and I think it's really fantastic to be in a region and next to a university driven by both clinical research as well as the actual hospital system. We see a tremendous amount of strength in having a technical workforce that understands what we're doing and can come in and contribute right away.
We really look forward to designing this future together with our partners and working collectively to ensure that we are creating an inclusive economic picture, that we are inspiring entrepreneurs, people to share their ideas, to be able to realize their dreams.
When you're an entrepreneur, the only person doing the work is you. If you don't do any work, there's no work being done. You really get whatever you put into it. So that's what keeps me going and pushing hard every single day.
I would really like us to have an ecosystem where the university begins to excite students about innovation and about creativity, and we have spaces around our university for startups and for burgeoning ideas around how to make the world better. And then eventually, as things get kind of juiced or energized here, they maybe move to merge, and then eventually to the research park. So I would like us to think more about a staging of different opportunities for people who want to be creative, who want to be innovators, and who want to connect people from across different disciplines.
Hi everyone, I'm Nicole. I went to Burlington High School, and we were fortunate enough to have 3 music ed teachers in our department.
As a new entrepreneur, the people here at Merge and the people with ICAD have just supported me in every way that they possibly can. So many people rooting for you and saying you can do this. It is possible to be an entrepreneur.
I think that the future of our relationship with ICAD has a lot to do with how our company is going to grow. We have a lot of work in R&D that eventually will need to kind of come to market. ICAD can connect us up with the resources that we need in order to see that development through.
Designing our future for Procter & Gamble means anticipating what our consumer needs will be looking into the future. I think fostering programs where we're encouraging people to gain the skill that will be successful in manufacturing, both in terms of mechanical, electrical background, the technical capability, which, regardless of whether it's P&G manufacturing or other manufacturers, the more we foster and build that, I think the better off our community will be.
We've learned over the last several months that local is really important. And so I think the opportunity really is to create a place where people can get connected, where their ideas can come to fruition, where they can find support no matter their background, and be able to recognize their dreams, because in the end, it's really the people that make the community successful.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for ICAD's annual meeting. A big thank you to our sponsors, Midwest One, IMON, and West Bank. Tonight we celebrate the successes of this past year and take a look at the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. I've been serving as president for ICAD for 22 months, and this is the first opportunity I've had to address investors in person. Our team is grateful for the support of all of our investors and our board of directors under Todd's leadership. We also want to thank our partner organizations, Kim at the Business Partnership, Josh at Think Iowa City, and Nancy with the Iowa City Downtown District for working alongside our team at ICAD through Project Better Together to collaboratively address the challenges of this unprecedented time. I am incredibly proud of the ICAD team, Tom, Aaron, Liz, Austin, and Mark, and our interns, Stephanie, Jody, and Asia. I attribute our organization's ability to pivot over the last several months to the innovative mindset of this team. I asked each team member to share with me some of what they felt their most impactful work has been, and I'd like to share some of those highlights with you tonight. Tom serves as Vice President of Strategic Growth. Tom has an amazing ability to think big, leverage relationships, and be proactive. Tom works with our existing clients and leads synchronous interviews to ensure we understand the challenges and opportunities for growth of our existing companies. Tom works to find solutions for the businesses we serve. It can range from expansion projects for rapidly growing startups like Rantizo, Dividos, and SmartScripts, to finding land, buildings, and investment for companies like Top Tracer and the Megawatt Solar Project. He's working closely with the Economic Alliance on talent and business attraction marketing and workforce development strategies. Tom's been key in providing strategic doing training for BIPOC leaders to ensure this framework can be a tool utilized for complex collaborations in our community. Liz, where are you, Liz? In the back, always running the show back there. Liz was recently awarded the 40 Under 40 by the CBJ, and that was no surprise to those of us who work with her. Liz is masterful at her marketing skills, but beyond that, she's a builder. Liz is instrumental in hosting weekly 1 Million Cups and our first ever Iowa EdTech Startup Weekend with educators, college students, community members, and mentors. Liz continuously strengthens our statewide entrepreneurial connections and collaborations. She was one of the leaders of the Iowa Breakfast Club weekly clubhouse chats, a very secret group that none of us old people could figure out how to get into, and a mentor for the TechStars Iowa Accelerator program. In partnership with Think Iowa City and Josh's team, Liz has been instrumental in developing the local bike-friendly business initiative. Due to her efforts, we've seen significant growth and engagement with Bike Iowa City's social media, and Liz is preparing to launch a bike ambassador program that rolls out in 2022. Erin Pottbaum. Erin's our Director of Operations, and in addition to the day-to-day operations for ICAD, she's the welcoming face for our co-working spaces. With the rapidly changing age of remote working and the importance of reliable high-speed internet, thanks to IMON, at Merge and Co-work at 808, these spaces are more relevant now than ever. Due to Erin's efforts to support our members, in 2021, we maintained each one of our memberships, even when the majority of people were working from home, and that is a testament to her. We have also welcomed several new entrepreneurs, including many immigrant-owned businesses. Erin is a problem solver with tremendous customer service skills, and we're very proud of what Merge and 808 have evolved into in the last 4.5 years. We have 18 of the 21 offices occupied between the two locations, and co-working memberships are in demand. Erin's been the key player in offering a friendly and welcoming space for entrepreneurs. Austin, where is Austin? Austin joined us in February as Director of Business Development. He and his wife Mariah relocated from St. Louis, and Mariah works right over here in the Children's Hospital as a nurse. Austin's been an amazing addition to our team, bringing strong economic development experience. Since arriving in February, there's been an influx of projects, including many in the biotech space that Austin has been working. Austin was also instrumental in the Top Tracer project in Tiffin. He has quickly developed relationships and is working closely with our cities, the county, the state IEDA team, local developers, commercial brokers, and the University of Iowa Economic Development team to ensure we're submitting the strongest proposals possible. We are fortunate Austin took the leap and landed with our organization. Mark Butland, in the back. ICAD secured a major 2-year federal grant in April of 2021 to grow the work of the EdTech sector through the state of Iowa. Since being hired in June, Mark Butland has been working with Techonomy to update the EdTech report post-COVID to ensure we are working with the current information. Mark has hosted EdTech talks on student mental health, supported Startup Weekend, and is working with the core EdTech team to design a very clear strategy for the EdTech ecosystem. Mark's been building relationships with the University of Iowa, College of Education, I think Dan Clay's here, JPEC, Don Bolus, Martin Rorda with EdTech, and local educators and administrators, as well as connecting with national experts and organizations. We are fortunate to have Mark on the team and focusing on this very important industry. Thanks to our amazing interns, and I highly recommend getting an intern. We had 3 amazing interns this year. We were also able to develop the Grow Black-Owned Business website in partnership with the University of Iowa. We supported the Project Better Together campaigns to adopt a healthcare worker and buy local, holding our own. We created new international welcoming banners for the entire area and published 52 weekly wellness newsletters for our investors and clients. As Charlie indicated, our regional partnerships remain strong. In addition to regional marketing, we continue to partner with the Economic Alliance on workforce initiatives. Together with the EA and Business Partnership, we're developing a region-wide DEI assessment for companies through inclusive ICR, and are currently working together on a 7-county regional vision under the leadership of ICAD. And just this week, the ICR Future Regional Coalition helped sponsor the region's first Career Inspire event for freshmen under the leader of Junior Achievement, it's here tonight, and Kirkwood's Workplace Learning Connection. And it was truly an amazing event. Additionally, this ICAD team supports the community by serving on over 12 community boards. We always say we are a small but mighty team, so please help me in thanking the ICAD team for all their effort this past year. And now I am pleased to introduce our keynote speaker, Dean Barber. Dean Barber founded Dallas-based BBA in 2011 to help economic development organizations develop effective strategies to unleash and create a better business environment within their communities. BBA's mission, find answers, provide solutions so that economic developers can take action and change lives. With offices in Dallas, Los Angeles, New Orleans, and Raleigh, North Carolina, BBA also helps companies find optimal locations where risks are reduced and a return on investment is enhanced. Over the years, Dean determined that those charged with doing have to be involved in the planning. Unlike most consulting firms, BBA brings clients into the planning process as active participants to serve them better. Dean dubs this collaborative approach the BBA way and oversees a national network of consultants who subscribe to his philosophy of radical transparency and collaboration. BBA has advised economic development organizations nationwide, as well as the US-based Fortune 500 companies and firms based in Europe and Asia. Dean is a former economic developer, having worked at the Economic Development Partnership of Alabama and the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership. He's also a former journalist, having worked a combined 20 years on daily newspapers in Georgia and Alabama. Barber left the Birmingham News in 1998 as the business editor. Please help me in welcoming Dean Barber.
That's good. I'm going to touch this.
You want to touch it?
Yeah. All righty. Oh, this is the clicker, right?
Yep.
Does this go forward? Yeah, it goes forward. Something like that. All right. Well, as the grand old Opry star Minnie Pearl said, I'm just proud to be here. Thank you. I've been in the community now for a day, and I was pleasantly surprised. You have terrain, you have trees, and you have a very nice city center. I was actually wowed by your downtown. It's very vibrant. And I think you have a little school around here too, don't you? So this is I think you have, just on the face of it, this community has a lot going for it. I was wondering what I was going to talk about, and I gave a list to Kate and Tom, and they said, talk about it all. So I've developed a kind of a symphony of, I'm not an economist, nor do I play one on TV, but I'm talking about the big issues of the day that affect all communities, certainly affects this one. If you're trying to figure out why the country is struggling with some economic problems, including labor shortages, rising inflation, and supply chain problems, you're not alone. We have survived, and I might even suggest, amid a global pandemic that has caused horrible amount of death and destruction and interrupted the daily rhythms of all of our lives. What is truly remarkable is to know that most household incomes, American households are actually doing better financially than they were in 2019. Today, the unemployment rate has fallen back below 5%. The value of homes, the largest asset for most families, continues to rise. The S&P 500 is 30% higher than it was before the pandemic. How did this happen? Well, much of it is due to the fact that both the Trump and the Biden administrations pumped trillions of dollars into the economy, much of it through checks sent directly to people. As a result, household incomes surged. People have money. Afraid to indulge in many of our usual experiences and pursuits, like eating out at restaurants, we bought stuff to compensate. In my case, I stopped going to my local craft brewery. Instead, I bought 3 guitars, a new computer, and a digital camera. Go figure. But I've not been alone in my buying spree. The surge in good purchases has been remarkable. Inflation-adjusted retail spending across the U.S. has risen 14% over the past 2 years, according to the Commerce Department. Americans are not only buying more stuff either, other countries are doing this. Consumers, a lot of pent-up demand, and governments have thrown a lot of money in stimulus programs. I recently found myself sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic on the Dallas tollway. What normally would have been a 30-minute round trip during off hours took me more than 2 hours. Because of the time of day, I was amid more cars than the road could handle. And therein lies the basics of the supply chain problem that we're experiencing today. The cash glut that came because of the pandemic stimulus programs has sparked off-the-chain demand right now. People, and this is a very technical term, are spending out the yin-yang. The supply chain hasn't broken down per se. U.S. ports are actually unloading a record quantity of goods, but rather it's been inundated and overwhelmed. Demand has simply outstripped the supply chain's capacity the same way that afternoon traffic outstrips the capacity of the Dallas tollway. Small disruptions snowball into large delays, which is happening right now across ports in America, and as consumers continue to buy stuff. As supply chain bottlenecks and huge demands for goods push up the price of raw materials, it's costing more to make things, higher wages needed to address labor shortages, increased shipping fees, a surge in energy prices. All of this is adding to the price of goods. That puts pressure on manufacturers to charge more when selling to stores. Those retailers then have a choice to whether to pass on the higher costs to consumers. For the better part of the year, economists investors, policymakers have debated whether inflation is a passing phenomenon that will ease as the pandemic recedes or a more permanent state of affairs. Many executives are starting to move away from the idea that it's transitory, as the Federal Reserve has maintained. Years from now, historians are going to look back at this time and see how the pandemic has essentially messed with our heads. Millions of people have yet to return to the job market, but yet there's near record job openings, 10 million in fact. And yet job growth has been slower than expected in recent months. It's common to see a surge in quitting when the job market is tight, but what's happening now is unlike anything we've ever seen before. In August, 4.3 million Americans quit their jobs. And while some people have left the workforce entirely, while others have just left workforce entirely, incredibly, 30 million people have quit their jobs so far this year. So something's happening here. The title of this presentation, it was a song from Buffalo Springfield in 1967. Great song, great band. UC Berkeley economist Ulrich Mamandir suggests the pandemic and the rise of remote work has changed the way we view our lives and the world. People are taking a step back and questioning what they're doing at work. Many have concluded they have to make a change. As a result, we're seeing a wave of early retirements, but also a wave of people starting new businesses. We haven't seen this level of entrepreneurship in nearly 30 years. And rising wages don't seem to be making as much of an impact as the economists would think. Average pay in restaurants and supermarkets now are above $15 an hour nationwide. Wages have been rising rapidly as the economy reopens. Businesses struggle to find workers. I'm hearing that everywhere. Some of the biggest gains have gone to workers in some of the lowest paying industries. Overall, 80% of U.S. workers now earn at least $15 an hour. That was 60% in 2014. Job sites and recruiting firms say many job seekers won't even consider jobs that pay less than $15 an hour. That's the new baseline. But still, many people don't want to work in restaurants and hotels. So we're seeing workers, whether they're high income or whether they're lower hourly paid workers, saying that they want something very different in life. This pandemic has really changed their thinking about what they want. Texas A&M psychologist Anthony Klotz, who coined the term the Great Resignation back in May, credits pandemic epiphanies with motivating many workers to leave their jobs for what they see as greener pastures. Klotz believes that the personal and generational experiences can systematically affect our economic behavior, and I think he's right. Economic calamities like hyperinflation, stock market crashes, unemployment tend to affect people's attitudes and choices for a long time. I can remember talking to my grandparents about living through the Great Depression, and that lived with them the entire life. They did not spend money. People are particularly, these experience effects almost literally rewire our brains. Research shows this is especially true with kids. Childhood trauma, for example, can profoundly affect people's outcomes as adults. In short, experiences, whether they're personal or collective, can really change the way we act. As for the effects of the pandemic, Malmendaire predicts that the legacy of working from home and other dramatic social and economic changes will continue to shape our choices long after the viral danger recedes. The world has changed forever. Again, wages are rising at levels we've not seen since the 1980s. Companies are trying to respond to luring people back to work. But the message that's being said from a lot of workers is that while more pay is a good start, they want something more than that. Unfortunately, that message is being missed by a lot of employers. When you talk to people who are unemployed or quit their jobs in the last few months, the number one reason they say isn't pay, although pay is a part of it. Rather, it's burnout. People want better work-life flexibility to be with their families and pursue other dreams. And they feel employers are not giving them the flexibility that they want, and turn not in recognizing the whole person that they are. I think we're about to see one of the biggest transformations of the labor market since World War II, when women entered the workforce by the millions. The coronavirus pandemic has forced both employers and employees to reassess and reimagine what the future of work will look like. Ladders, which specializes in jobs more than $100,000 annually, said remote work rose to 14.67% of all high-paying listings in the US and Canada in the third quarter of this year, up from 12.8% in the second quarter. The number was less than 4% in the pre-pandemic days of 2019. In short, the commute from your bedroom is here to stay. This is not a fad. The corporate culture as we know it, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, I don't think we're ever going back to that. We've all learned that we're capable of doing a lot of work from home. However, at the same time, we've also learned that we have to go back to the office to perform certain tasks. Workers have been clear about their expectations. 76% of 903 workers polled in a recent CNBC Catalyst report said they want their company to make work permanently flexible in terms of schedule and location. Of the 50% that said they were looking to make a career change, 41% are seeking flexible and/or remote work. So the world has changed forever, and flexibility is the name of the game. One size fits all is dead. Companies are going to have to make different stances. Some have learned that they can run their businesses efficiently working from home. Some are going to push employees to go back to the office. And more companies are going to give employees the flexibility to work a few days from home and come into the office when they need to be there. The pandemic will also be a catalyst to rethink office design, which wasn't in great shape before the pandemic. Today, the office is in competition with other places where you can work. With the rise of digital, it's no longer enough for spaces to be functional. The office should be experiential, to make people want to come there for experiences that they can't get elsewhere. Data collected from VergeSense platform from across 1 million square feet of workspace shows that the average utilization of an office was 40% in 2018, pre-pandemic. That's tens of millions of dollars wasted on a yearly basis. There's got to be a better approach. More and more organizations are realizing that filling rows of desks is not what's needed. The decisions companies make now about their workspaces will not only impact their corporate cultures, but will influence the shape of cities for years to come. Ostensibly where I live, Dallas, has an impressive downtown, some really nice, but some of those buildings are 30% occupied. Is that what I think it is? It is. As I mentioned earlier, entrepreneurship is on the rise. New businesses launches are exploding. Nearly 1.4 million applications have been filed to form new businesses through September of this year. That's the most through third quarter of any year on record. There's been roughly 400,000 more filings this year than the same point in 2019, or 255,000 more than this point last year. I have a theory. Why, when people's livelihoods have been suddenly disrupted, and the pandemic did that, many choose to go into business for themselves. Why? Because they feel they have to. In the U.S., where 13.7% of the population is foreign-born, immigrants represent 20% of the self-employed workforce and 25% of startup founders. And according to a 2018 study by the National Foundation of American Policy, immigrants founded, this is extraordinary, 55% of the United States billion-dollar companies. To my original point, today's entrepreneurial boom is an unexpected symptom of coronavirus. While some sectors have been crushed, many entrepreneurs are finding new roads. The pandemic has also led to a retirement boom in the U.S. As of August 2021, more than 3 million Americans decided to retire earlier than they would have to the COVID-19 pandemic, according to a new analysis by the St. Louis Fed. Miguel Castro, senior economist of the St. Louis Fed, compared retirees to the baby boomer trend to distinguish between normal and excess retirements. As of August, he found there were more than 3 million excess retirements, which is more than half of the 5.25 million people who have left the labor force entirely. So the surge in stocks and housing values have made it possible for baby boomers, I'm one of them, with a nest egg to stop working. Others who lost their jobs haven't been able to find new ones or forced to retire before they were ready. It remains to be seen whether these excess retirements are permanent, whether these people come back into the workforce or not, and how many, if they do, have an outside impact on the U.S. workforce, which is still missing more than 5 million people from pre-pandemic levels. It also appears that, and this is a good thing, that depressed productivity, which has plagued this country for the past 2 decades, is coming to an end. Put simply, companies are investing again, and that higher capital spending translates into a lift in productivity. For companies, the choice is clear. Money is abundant, credit is cheap, workers are not around to be found, or they're hard to find, so it makes sense to invest in automation. A survey of executives at the end of 2020 showed that just over half of respondents in North America and Europe said they had increased investment in new technologies over the past year, and 75% said they expected to increase investment in new technologies through the year 2024. A further boost to productivity could come with the bipartisan infrastructure bill that $1 trillion infrastructure bill out there. The historical trend has been most people tend to move out to the suburbs and the exurbs within the same metro area. That certainly has happened during the pandemic, as the overwhelming share of moves remained in the same metro area. But if, and this is a big if, more employers go fully remote, that would conceivably allow people to leave the largest expensive metro areas on the two coasts altogether in search of quality of life and a lower cost of living. They might move into smaller metro areas, or they might even move to rural America. Am I predicting that? Look, I'm not a futurist. If I was, I would charge Kate twice the amount I had charged her. I subscribe to the belief of the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. Those who have knowledge don't predict. Those who predict don't have knowledge. So, what keeps me up at night? The labor participation rate is now 61.6%. This comes as employers struggle to fill more than 10 million job openings and soaring demand. My biggest fear is that the worsening worker shortages reflect longer-term shifts, such as pandemic-driven acceleration of retirements that won't reverse. Many expect the labor shortage to last several more years, and some say it's permanent. If it's permanent, with our lower birth rate, then we're kind of in trouble for the long term. But, and this, I subscribe to what Warren Buffett says, never bet against America. We do have a lot of good things going for us. We have the best universities in the world. You have that in your community. We have generally the most creative companies in the world. And I think we're on a new track that those who say they know what's going to happen, I'm not. I think they're in for a rough surprise. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that, or I sense, that big changes are coming. I'll take any questions. If anybody has a question or two, I'll take that. I hope I made you think. So anybody have any questions? Well, that's better on me. Well, thank you so much. You want this?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Dean. I read the other day that employers need to re-recruit their workforce, their existing workforce. I'm not sure exactly how you do that, but I'm going to look into that next week. Right, team? So thanks for sharing kind of a perception around the current economic state. There's certainly no question there are challenges ahead, and some real uncertainty remains for our nation, the world, and our community. But there are also a lot of local positives and indicators that we feel really good about. Our organization has 12 active business attraction projects. Unemployment in Johnson County is dropped to 3.8%. Local companies are reporting a strong hiring trends, and wages have increased across the board in our area. Johnson County had the 5th Strongest growth in the Midwest at 16.8% per the census data, with every community in our county growing. Entrepreneurship is on the rise, and startups in the industries of edtech, bioscience, and medtech are growing here. And as Kim, Nancy, Josh, and I have been working together, our community is really embarking on a countywide visioning work through Project Better Together 2030. So that, along with the new hospital that's going in North Liberty, President Wilson mentioned entrepreneurship, and I think Dean's right. I think entrepreneurship is really something we need to continue to create a culture of entrepreneurship. Young people want to solve problems, and we need to help them find a path to do that. And turns out a lot of adults want to solve problems too. So as people change jobs, as they look for new opportunities, we want to make sure we have the resources for all of our community members, diverse backgrounds, people, immigrants, people that want to start businesses have what they need. So while it's true, there are things that are out of our control. We can control how we work together to welcome and engage with the challenges that lie ahead. So whether it's affordable housing, childcare, workforce skill development, increasing support for BIPOC businesses, and the racial equity collective work that's happening here, now more than ever we need to hold true to the values of this community and leverage our assets to collectively solve problems. So the last 2 years demonstrate how entangled community development and economic development really are, and it's our hope that we can build on the momentum of Project Better Together and design the future so all can thrive. So in the coming months, our local ED partners are going to be reaching out to you as community members, hoping that you'll help us with the 2030 visioning work. And with your help, we look forward to creating an ambitious and bold future. So at this time, we'll close tonight with our annual Sizzle Award. So I'd like to introduce Liz Hubing and Tom Seelig to present the 2021 Sizzle Award sponsored by West Bank.
Thank you, Kate, and thank you, Tom, the great Tom Seelig, for being back again. We really appreciate it. In 2017, ICAD presented Tom Seelig with the inaugural Sizzle Award for being a community champion for economic development. This award has since been presented annually to community members who go above and beyond as community champions for economic development. This year, 4 deserving individuals were chosen for their work to create the first ever diversity markets in Iowa City this summer. The diversity markets elevated underrepresented entrepreneurs while also revitalizing Iowa City's South District commercial area. The majority of the vendors were entrepreneurs from marginalized populations looking to further their business growth in Iowa City. It was also an opportunity to highlight Black, Indigenous, women, and immigrant-owned businesses in our community with food and activities at a family-friendly event over 5 weekends. The diversity markets were a collaboration of the South District Neighborhood Association, the Multicultural Development Center of Iowa, the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC, and many others. Today we celebrate the success of the 2021 diversity markets, and on behalf of ICAD, present the Tom Seelig Sizzle Award to 4 amazing individuals. First off is Angie Jordan. Come on up here, Angie. So Angie Jordan is very family-oriented, an entrepreneur, and a community builder. Her pronouns are she, her, hers. She racially identifies as mixed and of color. While Angie grew up in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas, she was born and spent summers here in Iowa City, and has always been fascinated with the interconnections between people, places, and progress. After graduating from Williams College out east, she returned and has been an advocate and activist for change through her professional and personal life by spearheading neighborhood and business revitalization in the South District for almost 15 years. She is constantly drawn to and feels safe exploring the gaps, the gray spaces, and the unknown, which is very appreciated. Angie's dreams and ideas are motivated by her curiosity tied to actionable steps guided by her values to be the change she seeks while surrounding herself with others who hold themselves accountable and practice authentically collaborating and consistently elevating each other in all aspects of life. She's also the tri-chair of the Better Together 2030 visioning effort. Congratulations, Angie. Next is Tasha Lard. Come on up, Tasha. Tasha Lard is the owner of JD Beauty Supply, which is located in the South District, Iowa City. I remember meeting Tasha last year when my boyfriend and I were on a walk in the South District, and we were walking by her storefront. I was kind of peeking in, and we kept on walking, and she's like, came out the front door and was like, come on in. And ever since, we've been really good friends, and she's continued to amaze me. Tasha is also one of the founder members of the Diversity Market and is a community builder in the South District. Congratulations to Tasha. Next is Tracy John Sargent. Get up here, Tracy. Tracy John Sargent is the founder and executive director of the Multicultural Development Center of Iowa. I don't know how he sleeps. He's always working and is amazing in all ways. Sargent founded MDC Iowa in 2017 to address the inequities of STEM and recently expanded to include a BIPOC business accelerator and mentoring program. In 2021, Tracy John co-founded the RE Connect to establish a collaborative group which combines the efforts of like-minded racial equity-focused organizations in Johnson County. Please help me in congratulating Tracy for all his hard work. And last is Marlene Mendoza, and unfortunately she was not able to join us today, but you can see her beautiful picture on our screen there. Marlene is an independent policy consultant and has worked with various nonprofits in Washington, D.C., Center for Law and School Policy, Social Policy, the Forum for Youth Investment, and the Aspen Institute Forum for Community Solutions. She provides research, support, and analysis of various issues related to poverty, opportunity deserts, economic development, and community revitalization. Marlene is also a youth engagement and partnership consultant and actively seeks to bring adults and youth and young adults to the policy table and decision-making process. Marlene currently lives in North Liberty, Iowa, and is an active member of our local League of United Latin American Citizens Council in Iowa City, and is the state deputy director of LULAC, Iowa. Congratulations to Marlene. So just once again, let's give a big round of applause to our 2021 Sizzle Award winners. You all are truly community champions, and your work is so important, and we so appreciate all of you. And to all of you, thank you all for your support of ICAD and for joining us tonight. We hope you had a great evening. We hope you had great views of our Kinnick Stadium here. And thank you for everything you do for us and for the community. Have a great night.